Hi, my name is Divya, and this is my 20-time TED Talk. I want you to imagine yourself when you were 7 years old. Imagine the things that you were interested in. Are you still interested in those things? When I was 7, I had a book about space. As I went through elementary and middle school, my interest grew and I soon collected multiple books about space. And then with movies like Interstellar and The Martian, other people started talking about it. They started asking, can we go to Mars, and when, and what about other planets? These questions are what I based my 2010 project on. I wanted to see whether it's possible to go live on other planets. I wanted to see which planets those would be. So I started off by looking at Earth. I wanted to see, why can we live here? Why can't we live on Pluto, for example? Well, there are multiple factors that are key to our survival. The first are simple: food, water, oxygen. The rest are a little more complicated. Stable atmospheric pressure, for example. Humans have the ability to acclimatize to different levels of atmospheric pressure. This is why when hikers go to the Himalayas, they have to set up a base camp before they're allowed to climb to the peak. We also need a livable temperature. As Natalie Wolchover from Live Science said, if temperatures were to exceed 140 degrees Fahrenheit, humans would likely pass out because of hyperthermia. Luckily, Earth is in this thing called the habitable zone. The habitable zone is an area of distance range from the star that liquid water can still exist. For our star, that's 0.5 to 3 AUs, with 1 AU being the distance from Earth to the Sun. After I did this research about Earth, I knew my job would be a little harder because I thought it would be pretty simple, to be honest. But so it didn't discourage me. So I comprised a list of planets to look at, and I wanted to know whether we could live there one day. My first planet is Mars. Mars is smaller than Earth. Its atmosphere is mainly carbon dioxide, and it's much thinner than Earth's. Because of this thin atmosphere, if you were to stand on the surface of Mars, you would experience very high levels of radiation. This radiation can lead to sunburns, premature aging of skin, and eventually cancer. Luckily, spacesuits have multiple layers of mylar and reflective coatings, and this helps block the radiation out. Mars is also luckily in the habitable zone of our Sun, so that's good for us if we wanted to go there. Unfortunately, Mars has sandstorms. These sandstorms can come out of nowhere and encompass large regions of the planet. As I'm still doing my research, I'm not entirely sure how to get around those sandstorms, but they do pose a very large threat because they can be very devastating to astronauts if they were on the planet. My next planet was Saturn. Now, Saturn doesn't necessarily strike you as a planet that you could live on, and while you might not know why, you're right. Saturn is what we call a gas giant. That means that although it might have a surface, it is mainly comprised of gases and aerosols. Saturn also has winds that can reach up to 1,800 miles per hour, and that's much too fast for humans to survive in. The atmospheric pressure on Saturn is also over 1,000 bars. To give you some perspective, according to Edward Lofts of Ask a Scientist, people most likely would not be able to survive over 3.7 bars of pressure. My final planet is one that's far away. It's called Kepler 186f. It's not in the solar system, and it's in a constellation called Cygnus. According to a NASA Ames article, we don't know much about this planet, just that it's 40% larger than Earth, probably rocky, and 500 light years away. Because of the lack of information, I'm not necessarily sure if this planet is habitable, but either way, it's much too far away for us to reach. Now, why is this important? Well, at the moment, it's not, but it will be. When the moon missions were still in progress, people rallied behind them. They cheered as they saw the rockets go off, and kids wanted to be astronauts when they grew up. When the Challenger exploded, the entire nation mourned. Flags flew low for an entire week. And we still have an annual day of remembrance to honor those who lost their lives. But we moved on, and 2 years later we launched Discovery and Atlantis. And now we regularly send people up to the International Space Station. Sending people to space and sending satellites to space pushes the boundaries of humankind, and that push brings people together. Mars is not just the next step for us to take, but a necessary one.